Hi friends, my name is Umkar Jagdai and I'm coming at you from Detroit, Michigan. And today I'm going to talk to you about how to do your undergrad in USA. Okay, before we get started, I would really appreciate if you can give a thumbs up to this video. It allows me to reach more people just like you, and I really appreciate you doing that. Thank you very much. So let's jump into it. So Bachelors of Science in US. So what are the things you need to do to get your bachelor's in America? Okay, and at the end of the video, I'll also tell you if it's worth doing a bachelor's in America, what has been my experience, and would I suggest someone to do their bachelor's in US. Okay, so let's get started. So in order for you to do your bachelor's in America, first thing you need to do is you need to look into two exams. First is SAT, and second is TOEFL. Now instead of TOEFL, you can even do IELTS, but I've never done IELTS, I've done TOEFL, so I'll only share my experience with you about that. Okay, so SAT exam is actually a combination of mathematics and English. So in English you have writing and you have I believe reading section. So it's out of 1600 points. A good score is about 1300 and above. If you want to get into a good university, I'm not talking about Stanford, Yale or something like that here. Those universities you can get in with about a 1500 score, and your 12th grade you need more than 90%. Now if you have, let's say you are a very average student, you only have like, let's say 60 to 70%, 75%. If you have that kind of grades and you are aiming for, let's say, a mid-level university, I would suggest anywhere between 1300 to a 1400 score is really good score for you in your SAT. When it comes to your TOEFL, I would suggest maybe 85 to 90 out of 120 is a good score for your TOEFL. Make sure your English is really good, because that's what they want to know. They want to know if you come to America, will you be able to study in English? That's their goal. That's their goal with TOEFL. They want to know if you will be able to study your basic, whatever day-to-day life. You will be able to take these classes, you'll be able to communicate with professors. That's what they want to know for your undergrad. Okay, saying that, so let's get into what you need to do next. Now, once you have these things set up in your mind about SAT and TOEFL, look into the universities you would like to study in US. So what I did when I was coming here, I made a list of 10 universities which I wanted to be. But before that, I made a list of different states and different areas I wanted to be. Now, for example, I wanted to be closer to New York City. So I looked at a lot of universities which were like about 100 miles from New York City. And I wrote a lot of letters. I wrote a lot of information about what I can do there, what kind of people live there. Are there any other Indian students or other students from my background who have done their bachelors there or who are doing their engineering degrees there? I looked into that. So that's the kind of research you want to do. Okay, second thing I would suggest is look into the weather at the places you want to stay at. Coming from a warm country, I lived in India. It was really hard for me to get used to the cold winter in US. So northern states or even east coast in US is mostly really cold. The weather ranges from like up to, it can go up to minus 40 degrees Celsius or minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit in winter. So you want to know if this kind of weather is good for you, if you will be able to handle that. And depending upon that, you can make a decision if these are the kind of universities you want to target at. Okay, if weather is not an issue, make a list of 10 cities you want to be in and find out universities in this area, and you can start applying to these universities. So I always tell people, apply to about 10 universities. I know it will cost you a little bit money because it's about $50 to $80 to apply to every single university. Trust me, it's okay. Don't cheapen out on applying to these universities, because your options will get better. The more options you have, the better decision you will make. So understand, beggars cannot be choosers. If you just apply to 2 universities and one of them rejects you, you only have 1 university now to go to. You're gonna get a lot of questions in your visa application, visa interview, why you only have two universities. So make sure you apply to more universities. That way you are more safe when you're going to these universities. So let's say you apply to 5, 6, 10 universities. You have 4 to 5 admits from these universities. Now you can make a decision about financially which university out of these makes sense. Understand one thing, a university which is closer to a city will cost you more in tuition fees and living expenses. For example, I lived in Detroit metro area. My university tuition fees for 4 years was about $120,000 and my living expenses were about $20,000 to $25,000 a year. So in total, I had to spend more than $200,000 in my undergrad. Now, if I had chosen to go to a university in, for example, Arkansas State University, which is not in a metro area, it's more of a rural area, college town, the tuition fees I would have paid for 4 years would have been only $60,000. And my living expenses, because I'm living in a town, would have been even lower. It would have been maybe $15,000 a year. So my entire undergrad would have been $60,000 of my tuition fees, $60,000 of my living expenses, about $120,000. So now you have to make a decision that which of these things makes sense to you, because depending upon financial situation, you can make a call where to go. All right. So after saying all of these things, folks, what is my opinion on if undergrad is a great idea in US? This is what I suggest. If you're financially really well, let's say you're financially, your parents will be able to support you, your family will be able to support you to do your undergrad in US, I think it's a great idea to do your bachelor's here, because you'll get a different experience, you'll get an experience which you won't get in your country. Now, if financially you are not as strong, I would say do your bachelor's in your country and come to US for your master's, because as a matter of fact, with masters, a lot of people are able to get more incomes. It's a small degree, people spend less money. So a lot of my friends who came to US only spend maybe $50,000 to $60,000 in their entire masters and living expenses, and they are able to get jobs for $80,000, $90,000. But if you do your undergrad here, let's say you spend $200,000, when you graduate, your salaries are lesser as compared to your master's friends, so which is about $60,000, $70,000. So then for you to get to your friend's level, you'll get about a couple of years of experience, and that's when you'll be able to get to that levels. So I feel it's totally dependent upon your financial situation, and that's the way I would make the decision that, hey, if US is the right place for you to do your bachelor's. And I think that's pretty much what I had. If you have any questions, write it in the comments section. If you want to contact me personally, you can contact me at Omkar A. Jagdare at Instagram. That's my handle there. I will post a link in the description. But I think that's pretty much what I had for you. And great talking to you, and I will see you in the next video.